What is up, guys? It is the Bluebloods here coming back at y'all with another episode of the 2 Minute Drill, man. Yesterday, we broke down why March Madness is the best model for I guess playoff expansion for college football. Why should college football expand beyond four teams? March Madness gives us an obvious answer. I break down why on last episode, so make sure to go back check that one out. Our Monday episode, we broke down Jackson State's first loss of the season to Alabama State. What do they need to improve on? What do I expect from them moving forward? I break all that down there, so go check that out too. We also got our Big 10 and 31 Days episodes all throughout. Today, we had Michigan insider Austin Meek from The Athletic. Sadly, we had some technical difficulties with video on both our ends, so it's just audio only, so we apologize for that. But we appreciate y'all checking that out. But today, guys, pro days have begun. The NFL draft is quickly approaching, and pro days might be more important than ever because of no chance for these guys to go prove themselves. I guess against their competition at the NFL Combine, so everyone's looking for a chance to prove themselves at their pro day. So why not? Let's go ahead and start looking at some of the top prospects who've had it. And some of them are opting out. Najee Harris didn't do much. I don't believe Devontae Smith did anything as well. But there are others that are using this to as a chance to solidify their spot at the top of the class. And today we have two of the top prospects that really shined in their pro day. Not only are they two of the top prospects, they also showed out so much that, man, it was a national media sensation. So let's get right into it. We're going to do these occasionally as more and more pro days happen. Pro day analysis from the Bluebloods here on the 2 Minute Drill. We're going to start out with Patrick Surtain II, Alabama cornerback. He's my number one cornerback in the draft. He's a lot of other people's, but there is a debate with him and Caleb Farley about who's one and who's two, but it's a pretty much consensus top two between those two guys. They're both projected top 10 picks. It's probably going to come down to who the Broncos and Cowboys want at 9 or 10 and whether any trades happen there. He found a way to further improve his draft stock, though, which was kind of shocking to me. When you're a top 10 pick, what do you really have to gain by going to your pro day and showing out? Well, apparently he had a lot to gain. And, I want to let's start out by going through what he did at college. I mean, in college, in Nick Saban's defense, he was a lockdown corner. He was one of the best in the country. He was the leader of a Nick Saban offense, which is never a light task. Over 116 total tackles, 6 for loss, 4 picks, 24 pass breakups, some forced fumbles, some pick sixes. He was a consensus All-American this year and the SEC Defensive Player of the Year, which is a very distinguished honor. I mean, and now he comes into his pro day, guys. I feel like the big debate here is like everyone thinks Caleb Farley is just like he's a better athlete. He can shut down the best wide receivers better than Surtain. But I have an argument that Surtain played in the harder conference against the better wide receivers and performed even better than Farley did. So coming into his pro day, I wanted to see what his 40 time was, his measurements, like what is he going to really give us? Well, according to 247 Alabama, the Alabama site, 6'2", 208 is what we get out of Surtain. Plenty of size there. He'll probably add a little bit more weight when he gets to the NFL. 4.4 40-yard dash. That's amazing. That is even better than I thought he was going to run. That would have been fifth last year compared to the DBs that came out. 39-inch vertical, solid. Bench press, 18 reps. That's great. It shows he has pretty great strength for a cornerback. Broad jump, 10 feet, 11 inches. That's fine as well. I mean, I think he showed that he has more athleticism than his critics and people who really didn't watch a lot of film on Surtain gave him credit for. It showed that he can hang with the best of the class in terms of 40 time, verticals, bench press, things like that. And yes, I know Greg Newsome or Newsome the second from Northwestern, he ran like a 4.3 or something like that. I mean, listen, 4.4, 4.3, I'm not going to be picking off, a tenth of a second, whatever. But, And last year I talked about I don't know how much the 40-yard dash really matters. As long as you run a certain speed here, I think you can hang with the fastest wide receivers. I think a 4.42 was great for Surtain with his size. I think he proved everybody wrong. And personally, I had him number one at the DB spot. But I feel like the biggest Farley supporters, especially after the news came out that he's probably going to have surgery, I don't even think the biggest Farley fans can deny that Patrick Surtain might be the number one corner in this draft class. And I think he's shown over the past 3 years he can shut down a side of the field, he can stick on a guy and shut down a wide receiver, and he can lead a defense that is playing at an elite level like Saban's defense was at times. One thing that I think one thing that is kind of separates Surtain from me, from Farley, from Newsome, from Horn. The one thing that he's going to excel in is his sit down meetings, where there's a whiteboard and personal conversations. Saban has spoke so highly of his IQ, his instinctive play, and his preparation, which is something that can't be taught at the next level. So many of these talented prospects go into the NFL thinking they have it all figured out. They don't prepare properly. They don't show that it factor, and Surtain has that. And as we know, Nick Saban prepares his DB so well for making that next jump at the next level. And I think Surtain is probably has the highest IQ out of football IQ out of any corner in this draft. I think he's the most instinctive, and I think he could be the most explosive as well. He's going to be a day one starter that you can plug into a need, and he's going to change a franchise on defense. Daniel Jeremiah of NFL Network, someone who I really respect, I really like this guy's opinions, said that based on his film, his pro day numbers, and things like that, Surtain and Jalen Ramsey are almost eerily similar as what he used. That's an elite comparison, and it makes sense in terms of what they do, what they excel at, what type of athleticism and passion and preparation we get from Surtain. I mean, the only real difference is that Surtain seems to be more of a quiet, late, reserved leader, while Ramsey is much more outspoken, as we've seen. I expect Surtain to be a top 10 pick, guys. He's probably a top 6, top 8 talent, but we know certain positions. I mean, there's going to be like 5 quarterbacks drafted in probably top like 8. But whoever lands Surtain is going to land an elite day one shutdown corner. I think the Cowboys would be the perfect fit. Also, I mean, even if the Broncos stay at 9 and draft him, I mean, when you have the D line that they have, I think he's going to be a plug and play type of guy at Denver. And what better corner to have to try to shut down what you have to deal with? And Henry Ruggs at the Raiders, and you also got Justin Herbert and what them boys are doing out in LA. And of course, you got the Chiefs with Tyreek, Mecole, Travis Kelce, all those boys. So you have to have an elite shutdown corner. So those are the two teams I would watch for. In terms of the other pro day, man, this prospect is just so. I feel like there's a lot of debate about him because he's been hurt, because he's not just like a surefire type of guy. Rondale Moore, Purdue wide receiver, he put on an absolute show today. I'll put this last because there's so much to talk about here. He might have put himself on so many NFL teams' radars in terms of a first-round pick. If you guys remember, he exploded onto the scene his freshman year, was really a crucial part in that big Ohio State upset for Purdue. Over 1,400 total yards of offense, 14 touchdowns. He was a consensus All-American. He led the NCAA in receptions with over 100 in 1 year. Led the Big Ten in receiving yards and receiving touchdowns as a true freshman. He struggled with injuries, though, these past 2 years. All this year, they just called it a lower body injury. He also had some hamstring issues, only played in 7 games his last 2 years, and I think he's probably the biggest one of the biggest what ifs in college football history. If Rondale Moore's healthy for 3 years, I think there's record books rewritten. I think Purdue, is a way bigger step ahead of where they might have been. But looking at his pro day results, guys, just going through this. So there's some negatives to take away and there's some positives. First, measurements has received so many criticisms. He only measured at 5'7", 175. That is pretty small. But then he goes to the 40-yard dash and runs a 4.29, which is top 10 all time for the 40-yard dash, It's pretty crazy. Vertical was a 42 and a half vertical. I mean, 42 and a half inches. That is higher than DK Metcalf and only 3.5 inches below the NFL Combine record. He also, you remember, the video was released of him squatting over 600 pounds at Purdue. I mean, this kid is a tank. This kid's athletic. This kid's fast. I mean, he put everything on display today. And for me, it just solidifies the idea that Moore is one of the most explosive players in this draft, and his elite athletic ability, even regardless of his size, is going to let him make an impact anywhere he goes, and that's why I still think he's a first-round talent. I get many NFL teams and just average fans and people with an opinion are going to question his height, but there are plenty of examples of guys succeeding in the NFL even without elite height. Wes Welker at 5'9", 185. Bob Sanders, man, Defensive Player of the Year, 5'8", 205. Steve Smith, 5'9", 185. And Darren Sproles, of course, 5'6", 190. I think all these guys are examples that you shouldn't shy away from Rondale Moore just because of his size. I think he'll put on a little bit more weight. If you can get him to 195, maybe 200, this kid's going to be a problem. Even if you just get him to 190, that's fine. I think he's more athletic than someone like Welker. He shows a similar explosion to Sproles. And I think he could play a similar role because he's that type of player where it doesn't matter how or when he gets the ball. Anytime he's touching the ball, he's a threat to go to the house, whether it be kick return, punt return, a jet sweep, a screen, a deep pass, an over the middle pass. It doesn't matter. Human joystick, elite speed, elite physicality, and he has the athleticism to get up and win some jump balls even without his, without elite size. Listen, I mean, I know this is going to sound crazy. Rondale Moore is the closest thing that I've seen to Tyreek Hill coming out in the NFL draft. I think he's that fast, that athletic, that explosive. His build is a lot like Tyreek Hill. I think he needs to put on a little bit more weight, which this is why I think he could. They can use that Chiefs plan, get Rondale Moore to about 200, 195, and he is going to be a Tyreek Hill type of guy. And yes, he doesn't have to win jump balls all the time, but he can jump that high, just like we see Tyreek with his vert. But he's going to burn people deep. He's going to use his elite athleticism, his elite quickness, and IQ and route running ability to get open. He's not going to have to win those jump balls. The only question is his injuries, man. Do you trust him to stay healthy? And I think that's the only reason that you're not hearing, top 15, top 20 type of hype around Rondale Moore. He is a top 10 talent, and he is one of the best wide receivers in this draft. He's probably going to be he's my favorite player in this draft to watch. I mean, this kid is explosive. I love everything about Rondale Moore. He was one of my favorite players to watch when he was at Purdue and healthy. He would probably be a top 2 wide receiver in any NFL draft class if it wasn't for his injuries and, maybe his height. But I think he's going to be a huge steal. Rondale Moore is going to be a problem. And I really do think that the Tyreek Hill comparisons are valid. And I am so excited to see what team gets him and what they can do. I really like the Green Bay Packers for a few reasons. I mean, you've already got that top target at Devontae Adams who can go out and get jump balls. You got Scantling out there too, Valdez. He can do it. He's tall too. Why not just have a slot guy that you can dump? I mean, between him and Aaron Jones catching dump off passes over the middle and things like that and just short passes, it would give Aaron Rodgers probably the best set of weapons he's had in his whole career. I think the Packers would be a great choice. I mean, there's just so many places. And, what happens if the Bucs are sitting there at 32, they don't re-sign Antonio Brown, and they bring Rondale Moore to be he's a big upgrade over Scotty Miller. I'm just going to be completely honest with y'all. I'm sorry. I know probably got some Scotty Miller fans out there. Rondale Moore, Chris Godwin, and Mike Evans and Rob Gronkowski, that would be a just disgusting combination of talent, but we'll see where he falls. If he falls into the early second, there's a lot of teams that could use his talent. This kid is a first round talent in my opinion, and probably should go there, but we got to see about his injury. So I wish the best for both these two guys, but I had to break these down. They were top news today, man. I had to break them down for y'all here, but guys, I appreciate y'all tuning in. I broke down earlier in the episode what we've been doing this past week, so go check those episodes out now. Big 10 and 31 days is wrapping up here, guys. Big 12 and 30 days coming next month. Make sure to subscribe wherever you listen to the audio versions. If you listen strictly on our YouTube channel, make sure to subscribe, hit that notification bell on the top right so you're notified anytime we drop any sort of Blue Bloods content, 2-minute drill content, or anything. But I appreciate y'all, man. Make sure to give this video a thumbs up, man. It helps us get this content out here. And remember, once we hit 100, picking 5 random subscribers out of our first 100 to give a Blue Bloods merch bundle, some cool stuff in there. As we get closer, more details will be announced on that. But for myself, guys, for the Blue Bloods and the 2-minute drill, we are out.